on? What you got?
Hello and welcome to another edition of Indiepocalypse Radio. Back at it again. It's barely a month into, or barely 2 weeks into 2024, and I tried getting more online, and I was like, I cannot stand this. The mass commercialization of all it drives me insane. It's not a way to consume or produce art. Anyway, that's a longer thing for a conversation of the show. I'm Andrew. I'm the host of Indiepocalypse Radio. Indiepocalypse Radio being the radio equivalent of Indiepocalypse. Indiepocalypse being the monthly anthology of alternative games. We are here with guests, none of which have been included in that. We do that now. That's the new part of the show. Where I'll just email people online and see if they say yes. And one person who said yes is our first guest, who you may know from the world of games with Perfect Tides, or the world outside of games with Octopus Pie. It's Meredith Grand. Meredith, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, glad to have you here. As an internet old head or whatever. It's like that thing.
Oh man, can we talk about old internet? That would be great.
Yes. Want to talk about Webcomics Weekend?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Mass native, so I was like, I can drive to Northampton and go see webcomics in a factory. But
That's exactly what it was.
yeah, it's my internet's okay. Good, we're still good, but just there we go. Firefox just got scared. I thought it was my internet breaking, but we're good. Yeah, no, I am working to, let's see if we can't bring back the old name in a good way, I guess. Mostly I just don't like mass media. But anyway, that's enough about that. To start off, I guess, the important part, if people are unfamiliar with your aforementioned works, what are Perfect Tides and Octopus Pie?
Well, Octopus Pie is a webcomic that I drew from 2007 to 2017. And I've occasionally picked up a few threads from it and drawn some more comics of it. But it's basically a comic about being in your 20s and living in a big city. And I posted that pretty consistently throughout the 2000s and 2010s. And it was kind of my first work that I posted to the internet that I'm still proud to continue showcasing.
Right.
That defines people's perception of what I do. And when I finished that comic, I decided to go into video games. So I started developing my first game, Perfect Tides, which came out in 2022. And that is a point and click adventure that is kind of in the style of like an old Sierra game, where you're a 16-year-old girl who's navigating a small island where you live and an internet forum community and just being alive in the year 2000.
Yeah.
And yeah.
A big fan of both of them. Like, I wanted to mention this during the secret pre-show. But it was at like a TCAF, a Comics X Games event, where pre Indiepocalypse and everything, I had been demoing next to you.
Oh man, I remember. Yeah, I remember like the game, the kind of game demo salon that they used to have at TCAF.
Yeah, and I think at one point you had left. I presumed it was like to go to like a comic table, and I was like, what am I doing here? There's like, people ought to sell things. And then I was started this whole long journey of like trying to get people to sell games that were only 10 minutes long or whatever.
So that was the moment when you decided to do all of this.
Yes, that is like this kind of like that's,
when I went to the bathroom, probably.
Right. Or something like deep Indiepocalypse lore is that it's been on this show. It's like, yes, this TCAF thing where it's like, this is, I think I had a zine maybe at that show at some point because I was like already kind of weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
Of like just dunking a bunch of money to go to Canada for free.
Fun.
Yeah. But that's the thing about games. The tricky part of it is like part of why they fall into very or like I guess narrower fields often is like you need a lot of money, like or a lot of like people supporting you in order to like put them out, because you can't just like put them out weekly,
Mm-mm.
really, or
No.
put them out weekly and expect people to pay money for them.
No, no. I don't think I have seen a model of video games that functions the way a webcomic does, where you are just constantly updating with new content that people can get through really quickly, and that it adds up to something that people can eventually pay you for.
Right.
It's just not bite sized the way comics are, and I think that's why comics are a good young man's game.
Yeah.
You're in constant hustle mode, and there is no upfront investment, and you can see a very very small return on it trickling in at all times. So yeah, that's what I did for a long time, but now making the model of video games work, I have not actually cracked that one yet, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's a trickier like it's a trickier beast because it's in a way it's better almost to to fail every week than to fail once every 5 years. You can always
Yeah, I would say so, absolutely. um
especially if you're like people like get funding and like companies and it's like, oh, other people's jobs, other people's health insurance is dependent on this thing. and,
hmm
and it
Yeah,
seems
no, it's a lot of responsibility there. I mean, in comics, at any given time, the maximum number of people I was collaborating with was one, and that was really as the extent of what I could, the kind of work I could wring out of it that I couldn't do myself.
right, that is, well, you could also always write and you could become a writer, become a I always think about the we talked briefly in the pre-show about getting out the right time. um,
hmm
I always think about that billboard, that webtoon billboard of it's your fiction writer's favorite side gig or whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah, where comics are just kind of a hobby, no matter how you slice it.
Right.
And Webtoon is going to make sure that it's your hobby for a very long time.
Yes, and that the artist portion is of course the disposable portion. They are
Yes.
uh,
But the platform is going to be here forever.
yes, platforms always stick around forever, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they get sold and reduced to a skeleton crew, and
Yeah.
then nobody cares. But they stick around for longer than the artist is able to, for sure.
Right. That's that's how you get your one in and out, your one burner like studios of like, well, we made a game and then oops, can't sustain it, but Steam's still kicking. They took their 30% and it's cruising.
hmm Yeah, we're webcomics once upon a time, and back when I was doing webcomics weekend, which was like, for those who weren't there, like the two of us, it was just a show. It was a festival of webcomics put on by a small community of webcomic artists who all lived in Western Mass at the time, and we kind of consolidated our studio spaces and turned it into a weekend festival. And in those days, everybody had their own website, which is like kind
Yeah.
of like like even saying that out loud, I realize how
Oh,
strange that sounds
no, I
now.
get on every week on this show. I yell at people just to get their own website again. It's so
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, right? But
Yeah.
people have to actually want to go to websites in order for
Right.
them to be useful.
That's the tricky thing. That's why I'm training people. Like, even if you just get your own like domain name,
hmm
it helps. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That was when I taught webcomics specifically. I would make sure that my students got a domain name like first week of class. That was the homework assignment.
right? Because I mean, especially in 2024, it's super easy just to own a domain name and redirect it to things. So,
hmm
like, I have. If you got to this show through indiepocalypse.com/radio, it's on Twitch right now, but it could be literally anywhere. But that URL would always go there.
Right.
It's about
People know how to find you regardless of what they do, because I mean everything's fragmented at this point, right?
yeah,
I feel like maybe I didn't notice it happening, but when Twitter started breaking down, everybody scattered to their next thing, and that next thing is probably not the next thing for me, and not the next thing for most people. So we're kind of all in different places right now, and forming a consensus around one place might not happen again, and
Right.
maybe it shouldn't. It's probably for the best.
Yeah, there is like a benefit to being like, oh, we don't have to. There's no singular zeitgeist. Move. It's weird that corporations tricked us back into the monoculture when you thought the internet would free us from it.
I
But
remember it is like so early 2000s to even think the monoculture is over. Like I remember the first time I felt that way, that like, oh yeah, nobody's going to like the same things ever again. It's all going to be different, but maybe this time it won't be all the
right,
sip.
thank you, Elon, for something, I guess.
Right, for making the monoculture.
If he's good at anything, good at breaking things, I suppose, and
Oh, yeah.
and ruining things.
Yes. So yeah, let's all give him a big thank you for that one.
For being, listen, sometimes being a wealthy, privileged screw up has its benefits to the wider
Hmm.
culture.
He's working for us right now. Like he's working for KeenSpot.
Yeah.
He's going to make us all go back to KeenSpot and make webcomic websites like we did in the year 2000.
Yes, so many things were found through people's pages of links of people they liked.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean I hear this all the time. I mean maybe it's just the people I'm hanging out with, but I
Right.
feel like
Maybe we're just old.
hey, it could be that we're just old. I mean, perhaps if you talk to a young person, they won't tell you this stuff is fragmented at all.
Yeah.
That's just us. They know where all the action is happening, and we're just kind of like we're trying to carve out the little house that we want for ourselves
Yeah.
online, like we were promised when we were young.
Yeah. There are people. People are getting back. Zoomers are getting back into like GeoCities and everything. Like,
Right, Neo cities.
yeah, it's this whole other like subculture kind of thing going on.
Hmm.
It's,
Yeah, I think that is kind of the heartening thing, is that all the time I stumble on something that is already very alive and
yeah.
full of people, and I think it's that's sort of an optimistic way of looking at it. Is that energy does exist. It's not going to be thrown in your face on your timeline when you first open your computer, but even I'm talking about opening your computer, like that's even the experience of being online at this
Right.
point.
Well,
But
I close my. I actually turn off my computers on the weekend a lot of the time. I'm
That's
gone.
nice.
I'm out of
That's
here.
nice. Yeah, that's a good feeling. But yeah, even being able to log off, I'm acting like that's still kind of the norm. But
Right.
uh, when you look for it, you do find these communities, and it's heartening to me that people are creating interesting things within small subcultures, regardless of whether they've found a way to turn it into to monetize it in some
Yes.
way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the most vicious part of it all is I feel like the increase of the artist to be uh, the multi-plural every part of the art process, where you're a constant hype man and publisher and everything else all the time. But
Hmm.
then you actually have to make the art too.
Yeah. And the longer you make art, the more you need to engage in stewardship of your own work.
Yeah.
I find that without a long-standing relationship with a publisher, I constantly have to remind people of all the things I've ever done, and I don't imagine that's going to end anytime soon. I'm the one who remembers this stuff better than anybody else, and I'm the one who has to remind them about it.
Right. How are people going to remember a thing that's 15 years old? It's 15 years old.
Yeah, that's like ancient history.
Right.
So,
That's
yep.
is that pre-internet? Where did you get that? Did you get it at Zine Fest? It's like, no, there were JPEGs on the internet.
We had this.
Yeah. We didn't have to make you didn't have to make Twitter threads of your comics. You could just put them on a website that had little buttons that said next and previous. And
But
you owned
how
the
many
website.
but how many people liked it? I don't know. That information wasn't available to me.
I listen, as with the information is available to me, I sometimes still don't know how many people like it or how many
It's
people.
true. I think that's the way it's supposed to be, though. I
Yeah.
think, every once in a while somebody writes you a letter and tells you they love it, and you say, "Oh, thank you. I have no idea who likes this." And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it should be.
Right. I have, I have maybe it's a thing with my brain, but I cannot parse meaning from the little hearts lit up that show that people little number next to a heart. It doesn't
No.
mean anything to me.
No, even back in the day when I'm staring at Webalizer, I
Yeah.
see that it goes up and down. I don't know what that means. It says hits here. What does that mean? How
Right.
many, like, what is a hit in terms of like a human connection? We have no way of measuring what a hit actually means, and none of this has ever really given us that information.
No, and then a person comes up to your table at a show and they say they really like your work, and it's like, ah, there's 10,000 retweets right there. The
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they tell you they started reading it when they were 13,
yeah.
and you're briefly embarrassed by that number, and then you realize how special that is.
Right, right. It's the I often remind people to do a little practice of like look at top whatever look at any genre, any medium rather, and like look at some like top albums of the 90s, and then look at the top selling, and the two usually don't line up with each other like at all.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like how many of those artists from the 90s whose work I really appreciated, how many of them would love to hear from me if I would,
Right.
just write them a letter or something. It's in my mind, I always assumed that their life was just so full of the kind of fulfilling feedback and appreciation that they ever could have wanted and deserved. But it really is up to the people who love it to let you know.
Right. Those are the people that preserve it, and it's kind of like, and I tell people sometimes, "Hey, don't worry, your work will really pay off and be appreciated in 10 years." But
But not today
but
when you
they
need to live.
right, they're like, "But I need to buy hamburgers now." It's like, well, nothing I can do about that.
Just hang in there, and someday they will love you for it, and you won't resent it at all. It'll
Right.
it'll really make everything right.
I have occasionally tried to tell my like cable provider, I'm like, I got a lot of retweets yesterday. But they're like, you still have to pay for this. I'm like, "Hmm."
Yeah, yeah, can't eat that.
But
Not yet.
but did you check out my follower count? Is that worth at least a month of Comcast?
Oh my God, it has never been worth anything. And less and less I've realized that even like follower counts on these platforms has nothing to do with engagement, even
Yeah.
because the algorithm gives preference to certain types of uh, tweets and whatever, and how frequently you talk. And I'm not very chatty, so
Right.
I'm pretty quiet. I don't think the follower count really translates into anything either. It's
No.
uh it's really just a matter of speaking to people in person whenever I can.
Yeah. It kind of when there was like that first Twitter exodus and a bunch of like 100K accounts were like, Twitter doesn't actually result in any engagement. I'll post about my stream and 30 people will log in. And it's like, it lays naked how much follower counts is like. Those are like showing that you're good at Twitter, not that
Yeah.
people like you as a poster, not necessarily as an artist or a creator.
Yes. No, your creative work does not necessarily flatter their sensibilities the
Right.
way your dashed off top of your head thoughts does.
It's why there's probably 8,000 accounts that are like, daily picture of a
Yeah.
squirrel has 800,000 followers.
Yeah. I can't be paying attention to that. I can't be mad at the Daily Squirrel guy
Yeah.
anymore. I've exhausted all of my anger for the Daily Squirrel guy.
I've simply exhausted all my anger, except when he starts selling T-shirts. I'm like, you fucking sold out, Daily Squirrel
Oh my
guy.
God.
Or get your
Right.
bag. I don't know, depending on my mood.
Right, right. Sometimes I love that guy for all the money he makes.
Right, right.
Or she, we don't know.
Right. Wait, is there a Daily Squirrel person? Now I have to. Is this an untapped market? I've never checked. Oh no, I gotta figure. Anyway, that's a later portion of. That's something we don't need to get into with googling on this show on this
No,
segment.
no. We don't need to make up a guy to be mad at right
Yeah,
now.
but that's the internet. It's making up guys to get mad at. Sometimes I,
It,
Yeah, it's really. Have you ever been the guy that someone made up that people got mad at?
I mean, I don't know. That's a
Yeah,
good
that is
question.
the. I've seen that. It's happened to me before. It's very bizarre. I'm like, you made up a version of me to get mad at. It's it's really bizarre.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm the vegan mom that someone's mad at.
Right, right. You're ruining something. I'm sure.
Hmm.
Some industry. You're. Who knows? Who knows? Uh,
The
but
mind reels.
but we are approaching the end of our segment here.
All
It
right.
it breezes past, if you believe
Sure
it.
does.
And we barely even talked about video games. Oh, we got to talk about video games. Meredith, what do you think of Mario? What's your opinion on the guy?
Oh my God. I go back to those games so much. There's really nothing that satisfies me like a Mario game.
Oh, perfect. So you're a fan of his running and or jumping.
Yeah, 2D mostly.
Okay. Now we have two
There we
important.
go.
Oh wait, let me double check to make sure we don't have questions submitted. If you have questions to submit, indiepocalypse.com/questions. That's how I take them. I do them. What's it called? Like live panels learn to do, where they don't field live questions, so that they
Mhm.
can filter them in case you get weirdos. I never have had weirdos on this show,
You
but
know, I can deal with a weirdo.
you never
Bring 'em
know.
on.
And this is more like a radio show kind of thing. If you're one of the increased listeners here, this is like where I don't usually hang out with the chat. I'm not usually like, "What's up, Bong Lord? Thanks for showing back up to the big ups to you, dude. Thanks for the bits." But that's just me. That's my cadence. It's like a radio show that we talk and you listen, and you talk amongst each other, I guess. And that's where you ask questions. Also, I can't. I have to talk to people. I can't read a chat. Um, so the two standby questions that people have been asking. What's your favorite type of rock?
That's the question, huh?
That's
Let's
the
see.
it was
I mean,
one of the questions I was
my
asked for months on end. And I was like, I'll just add it to my regular rotation.
all right. Well, my son collects rocks, and he picks them up on a walk, and I really can't get rid of them, even if they're just a piece of tar that fell off of a parking lot.
Right.
He collects them and brings them home, and I tend to line my planters with them. I put them in as like a little bit of mulch on top of the plants. Good for drainage.
Perfect.
I really treasure those rocks.
Yeah. So just like that is and that is a special kind of answer. Is tar a rock? Or I guess a child doesn't know any better.
I mean, I always thought it was when I was a kid. My
Right.
mother told me otherwise, but I
Now
thought it was a rock.
now I'm wondering if I like those rocks that I liked, because now I'm thinking like yeah, we loved these types of rocks you could throw and they would break easily. I'm like, oh, that was just tar.
Yeah, so is anything formed by magma, right?
Right. Um, and
I think it counts.
the follow up question with an optional answer here is do you have a favorite Toho character?
Toho. I
Yes.
don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a long running bullet hell franchise. We don't have time to get into exactly what Toho is
No, I'm afraid I don't. All right, I guess I can look it up right
yeah,
now.
TOUHOU, a long running Dojin series.
Let me see if I've seen this before.
Yes, you may have. It's been
Uh,
around for a long time.
all right, these ladies with the bows that kind of look like kitty cat ears.
Yeah, some are witches, some are yokai, as they say. They
My
are.
goodness. Not on my radar. Well, this kind of shows you how little of a monoculture there is, that this
Yeah,
is completely off my radar, right?
yeah.
Oh, they're cute.
It's that is a weird thing because it's like an ultra huge sort of. It's one of those like Japan centric sort of things where it's like
Hmm.
it does a cool thing where it's like a quote unquote open license. So if your next game was like, oh, I want to make a Toho game and put it out on Steam for money,
Ah,
you can just do that
that's interesting.
within certain
I
rules.
I like the intent there.
Yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I just love I love how many subcultures there are within games, specifically like ones that encourage that kind of creativity.
yeah.
So my favorite Toho project is the person listening to this.
Oh, You, the listener, it's like that Time magazine cover. You're the Toho
Mhm.
cover project
That's
of the
right.
year.
Hold up a little mirror for you.
But make sure to put a little Shrine Maiden ribbon on top of it.
I see. That's Toho specific.
No, I don't think so. But I think the main
Okay.
character, that's the main character. She's
All right.
if there is one, and I think there is. I
Sound
think it's there.
It sounds nice.
Anyway, we're gonna go on break before we just keep rambling on. We'll be back in 3 minutes and 12 seconds, approximately. Meredith, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Be right back.
We'll put a pin in that.
Well, I'll just
hello. We're back.
I'll just recap another podcast on.
No, we do not
there.
recap other podcasts on this show. I try to avoid the mannerisms of other podcasts on this show to the best of my ability, but sometimes I think they sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
We are back. Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was High Dive with Coffee and Ice Water. My brain has been kicking back into quote unquote records a lot, and I was like, what if I gave away stuff for free? I'm like, no, we're not. Games aren't at the stage where you can do donation based publishing platforms yet, because people won't pay for those things already. Or that's the model it's in. I don't know. Anyway, we're here with our next guest, who you may know from the internet, from writing on various such as Paste. I forgot the rest off the top of my head, but a lot of them. I'm trying to think of the ones that aren't deceased, rather.
Pulling at my collar on this one.
Are there any of those? I started with the one I knew was around. Are there any more of those that are not deceased? Waypoint, RIP.
Yeah, Waypoint RIP, but I've done some stuff for Remap before. I worked for Kotaku for a while. When y'all are talking about making up a guy to get mad at on the internet,
Yeah.
Hey, I've worked at a couple of those websites.
Yes,
people get mad at.
And you also have, you can tell from your podcast cadence, you have a podcast of your own, or a podcast network, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, we got a
Range
podcast
Touch.
network. Yeah. It's me and Michael Lutz and Danny and Austin Walker's on the show with us right now. So we got several people running around talking about culture. Ooh,
Yes,
scary.
yes. And that's Cameron Kunzelman. Hello. I hope I said that right. I realized I did not
you got
check
it.
beforehand. Nailed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Why am I thank you that I said your name right?
Got it in one. You know what? You're welcome.
Glad to have you here on the show.
Yeah.
But if people are not familiar, I dash it off as a podcast network. If people are not familiar with Range Touch, now I'm not going to ask you to explain to them the over of Stephen King, and this is not a podcast. We were talking about old internet, but we don't need to explain home stuff.
Yeah, I heard that part. I know what you're asking about here. So the way it happens is that they figured out a way to get an audio file indexed into an RSS feed.
Yes.
Okay. And then that delivers those audio files to your device. And so that's what we do. That's podcasts. That's what you were asking? What's a podcast?
That is the podcast. Now, what is yours specifically? You talk about culture.
Yeah, so we do a bunch of them. We have a bunch of kind of culture-oriented podcasts. We kind of started as more of I don't know what we started as. We one of the early shows we did, and we're currently in right now for Baldur's Gate 3 was Mages and Murder Dads, which is playing through the Baldur's Gate games and games in that lineage, but not as like a let's play and not as a just like broad discussion, right? Kind of a targeted discussion. We call it we have the radical language of a show.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Karen, I've been asking on this show I've been asking people on this show for a long time as a Chip and Ironicus guy. I'm like, is there anyone else like that? And maybe you just answered your question.
It was definitely, we started that with being like, could we do Chip and Ironicus, but for like a different thing? And the answer is no, because no one can be Chip and Ironicus.
Right, because it takes a lot of time to do
it. It takes like an infinite amount of time. So we started doing that. We started doing Game Study Buddies, where we read a book at Game Studies and talk about it every month. And then we started doing Just King Things, reading Stephen King in publication order. Running into Meredith's work just a little bit historically, we also did a show last year, maybe the year before. Homestuck Made This World, where we went back and read Homestuck in chunks, and Michael Lutz also did an immense amount of work to read through the Something Awful forums in real time with the pieces that we read, and also going for finding forums that have been taken offline, things like that, situating it within webcomics culture of the time. the transformations in fandom culture. And we kind of did that show because Michael is writing a book about Homestuck. So he's working on that right now, and that should be out at some point. So lots of different culturally oriented things. And now one of our current shows is Shelved by Genre, where we read genre literature every other week. So we're doing Earthsea right now. That episode's about to come out soon.
Yeah, I had it was a weird confluence of not confluence, combining of worlds where I was talking because we're playing some DCC in the this Dying Earth module.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was talking about he's like, oh, I was listening to his podcast the other day about now we've said too many things about Earth and suns and things.
Mm-hmm.
The Gene Wolfe books that I'm forgetting the name of.
The Book of the New Sun.
Book of the New Sun. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. I know exactly what you're talking about, don't I?
Yeah, sometimes you go to a tower and it's a spaceship.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You're like, oh, medieval tower. Nuh-uh, Buster. It's got rocket ship.
Oh, now I'm getting excited because I know I was a big fan of Dying Earth, and
it's good.
It's funny. I didn't know it was funny.
Yeah, you got those little goofballs running around, all these wizards that have memorized equations in their head, and they just got to sputter it all out. It's fun. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I love the idea of hating one wizard because he's good at talking to girls.
Yeah, that's a lot of the Dying Earth. The Vance specifically is people getting mad about women broadly.
Yes, that's
it was written
issue.
in the 50s. You got to have that on the dome when you interact with those. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
That is the weird thing about culture. It's also the weird thing about internet culture, sort of that changes in terms of when you're just talking with your friend. It's like you have to caveat to some extent. Like, yeah, I know this is this has issues with it.
It's got some rude language in it. It's got some bad ideas.
Right. The kind of all or nothing media culture sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm not into that. I think we're mostly all adults here. We could probably talk about what's in the thing.
Right.
And good. I've read a lot of Stephen King. We gotta be able to do that.
No issues there with Stephen King, right? No, he's got no problems.
Extremely normal guy. if there's a word, no, we had a long. I know this is on Twitch, so we're gonna get you banned. That's my intent here.
I play music on Twitch.
His Bag of Bones, which we did a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It's after he wins the O. Henry Award. I don't think it's a prize. I think it's an award. Maybe I'm wrong there. But it's kind of one of the literary turns of Stephen King. It's when Stephen King looked at the National Book Award and he's like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm about it. Here I am. In the middle of that book, there's a long sequence of a dude getting jerked off by a ghost. And it's like, Steve, why? How can you not turn that off? If you're looking at John Grisham, looking at Patterson, being how do I climb back up the charts? How do I get him to take me seriously? I know what I'll do. I'm going to put that right in the dead middle of the book.
Yeah. I mean, it might work. In addition to that Dying Earth, my friend snuck me a copy of A Feast Unknown. And that has all sorts of nice If you look at the cover of that book, it looks like a respectable book. That has nothing to do with come constantly.
Oh, that's wild. I'm not a huge on Farmer, so hard.
Yeah, I am a what's the word I'm looking for? Books take a long time to read.
It's got two nude dudes wrestling on the cover, right?
Yeah, it's a great cover.
It's a great cover. Have you thought about putting that on getting someone to do an homage to this, putting it on the cover of Indiepocalypse?
I mean, if you pay attention, we have Indiepocalypse has a much ruder covers on it.
Oh yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, this
is tame.
Indiepocalypse is filthy and for adults. It's a tricky thing about I don't know, stuff for adults on the internet, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or part of it, I feel like games are not. Games are in a very weird spot. Games are in a weird spot.
Yeah.
I think
just if you want to put it in a sentence, games weird. We can probably eliminate some words there.
Yeah, I think I talked about this last week, but I think a lot about that GQ poll or GQ list that came out the exact same year as a Sight and Sound list, and I'm like, chef's kiss, perfect encapsulation of the difference of games as a medium.
Mm-hmm.
Where, top game, greatest game of all time, Breath of the Wild, or
Yeah.
greatest film of all
It's-
time.
Yeah,
Jean
you
Gilman.
get an axe, and sometimes it breaks. It's
Yeah.
what's not good about that? It's fun.
Yeah, it's a very different like landscape of like what is good, I suppose. Also very
You got a little guy running around who doesn't talk. Awesome.
I love my favorite things when they get points. When the little guys
Yeah.
all of a sudden can get points.
I want the number to go up. I want to get sweaty for some reason in the game. I want to like eat a pepper and get too sweaty.
Yes. Oh, you're speaking my language. I mean, I
Send
joke
this to
around.
the Oscars. Get this bad boy on the Game Awards. Why don't you?
I joke about being an art guy, but also I'm also a very confessed RGG fan on it. So sweaty dudes just punching each other. I'm like, yeah,
Sure.
I do appreciate that. Also, dodgy politics, as they say in some places.
Sure.
That's culture, as they say.
That's right. That's culture.
That's culture.
Yeah. So what do we do here, Andrew? Is there content that we have to produce here, or is this the content?
That's the trick, and we've been producing it for
Oh my god.
for like 15 minutes or whatever.
Oh my god, this is content.
I know this is podcasting, baby. This is podcasting. Now this is I don't have a snappy way to say it. I don't have like a slogany, buzzy way to say it. But Indiepocalypse Radio is like the post-con hangout that you just happen to be listening to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like just people hanging out. Sometimes we're unfocused about things. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we are like asking about their. As someone who has range touch on my to-do list as my next thing, I was like, you don't have to spoil it entirely, but I'm curious. How'd you feel? What is your let's just say a short. Also, someone who was mildly in that. Paying attention to that for a point in younger years. How'd you feel about Homestuck?
Well, I'm not. I'm going to artfully dodge the question. I'm going to tell you that up front. I don't know. I talked about it for like 50 hours.
Yes.
And so if you would like to discover that, you can. I will say I came out of it, having experienced it. How about that? Is that the best way of putting it? Probably. And although I did come out and I did think that Cyclonials,
Yes.
the kind of follow-up that Hussey did, I did enjoy that quite a bit. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I think that itself is like a response to that is my feeling coming away from it, thinking like, yeah, I guess it was something.
He was a thing.
Yeah. We have questions in here now.
Cool.
Oh, these questions are. I got a question for a guest from Grime here. What's your favorite website?
Ooh, Meredith, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Maybe? What's your favorite website, Meredith?
It's my favorite website. Oh, like what? It's just like my mind just instantly flashes to old websites. Like the first thing I thought of was Zombocom because it's the oldest website I can think of.
What is that? What is Zombocom?
It was like a website. I'm sure it still exists, but it's just a website you go to, and there's like a big flashy logo, and it's probably made in Flash, and it goes, "Welcome to Zombocom.
Yes,
Everything you've ever wanted is here," and it just continues in that manner forever. And there's nothing else on the website. But when I think website, I think a specific place you go on the internet to see something funny and tell people about it.
Yeah.
And when you like post a link to it, other people like that too.
Yes, and that is.
Yeah.
I posted my favorite in the chat. My favorite is burymewithyourmoney.com.
Yeah, Bury Me With My Money is pretty good.
Yes.
That's an oldie but a goodie. I don't think I have a favorite website. Rangetouch.com probably.
Perfect. Gotta stay on brand.
Yeah, you gotta produce some brand stuff. You gotta do that.
Zombocom online as a website, still currently online.
Hell yeah.
That's powerful.
You can still just go there because web hosting. If you have a website that's like one page and an audio file that's 20 years old, it probably costs $15 a month to keep up, if that.
Oh, maybe my favorite website's pureideology.biz. That's a pretty good one.
What is? You can tell it's newer because it's got a .biz on it.
Yeah. They might also.
Oh, you tricked me.
I know it's my own website.
I got the classic trick.
I know. You've been destroyed by my mastery of forwarding.
Forwarding is a powerful tool. At
Mm-hmm.
one point I tried to I was gonna as a promo thing I was gonna make a fake video game website, and make fake news articles promoting Indiepocalypse, and then I got bored of that. And it
Good
was
idea.
really hard to make a fake website that wasn't like already taken.
Yeah.
Because I would think of like the stupidest things and most obvious things, and like they're all already taken.
Yeah, if you're like 16-bit marathon, like that's going to be its own website, and there's
Yeah.
going to be like 19 people on the mast, and one's going to be someone who like used to work at the New York Times.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, okay, all right, that's where we are.
We have another question. I'm going to answer the second question from Grime that's for me, which is, do you have a favorite? I guess if the guests are looking at, or I don't know if you're watching the Twitch stream and can see the rotating covers.
Yeah.
But do you have a favorite of those that you've seen? As the follow-up question, or not the initial question from Grime. I will say, I know mine. I don't like to pick favorites. Let me see if it's in the rotation.
I think they're all pretty good. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever seen an Indiepocalypse cover where I've been like pissed off about it. You know what I mean?
You're like, oh, this makes me upset.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened. I think I've always been like, oh, this is good art. And then I thought, I wish everyone involved made more money.
Oh, me, I think that too.
Yeah. I just every time I think, yeah, cool.
Don't
now
tell
there's one
any
that's-
of the cover artists, but mine is it's 32 by Nama. It's the one with the woman whose brain is like breaking open, and the flowers growing out of it.
Sweet.
That's my favorite cover.
Okay, I won't tell anybody.
Don't tell any other cover artists. I don't like to pick favorites. Don't tell. It's like how I say, don't tell any of the game other. I think I said last week. Don't tell any other game developers that my favorite Indiepocalypse game is Conversation.
I'm gonna pull a maneuver here.
Yes.
I'm gonna hijack this whole operation to
glad.
do journalism.
Take it.
Because
I've never
it is
been
well
journalized
known.
before.
Yeah, it is well known that I am a huge fan of Perfect Tides.
Yes.
Big fan of it. Meredith,
Yes.
when's that next one coming?
Oh my God.
We're jonesing
wish,
over here.
I wish I could say I am living with
Tide Hive is just vibrating, waiting for it to happen.
I mean, the stress that you live under when you're developing a game is fairly intense because, at least for me, I always just like the feeling of releasing something and getting the reaction from people is unrivaled, and I often go now for years without having that feeling. I do a little bit of a pressure release whenever I do a play test because I get a little bit of feedback, but it's also accompanied by all of the the ways in which the game is broken. But I'm about to demo this thing at MagFest and release the demo, and hopefully that'll keep people at bay for a little while. That's coming in the spring at very least. So I can at least say that this game's going to be awesome, and I thank you so much for all you've said about the first one. But this one is going to make that one look like shit. So,
Oh, yeah, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear someone just ruthlessly negging their own work.
It's what you learn through decades of being an artist.
that's right. Can't look back.
Only look
Well,
for-
when I put I guess before I put together my like end of the year list last year, I got the big box set in the fall of all of Octopus Pie, which I'd not read before.
Oh, nice.
I have no idea. You know what? Maybe you DM'd me a code like a million years ago. Maybe that's how I played Perfect Tides. I actually don't remember.
It's possible, yeah.
But I was like, oh, I'm familiar with Octopus Pie, but I'd never read the whole thing. And I read the whole thing in the big box set, which shout out to like making that box that accompanies the different sizes.
Yeah, I spent a long time designing that thing as a way of sort of making up for the fact that I didn't design these as books early on, and this was kind of a consolidation of all those mistakes. I think they fit nicely in there.
Yeah, it's good. It's on my shelf right beside the Inkall and maybe some other thing.
But does it accommodate my copy of There Are No Stars in Brooklyn?
No,
Or
it does not.
I'll
I'm sorry to
just-
say.
I'll just put it on top.
See, this is I
Yeah.
can't remember if we did we talk about this on the show, being the steward of your own work.
Yeah.
I need to because books go into print and go out of print so rapidly
Right.
that to everybody else it's like, if you have it, if you know about it, then it's a part of history for you. But I am the one who's responsible for keeping these things in print for as long as I can. And unfortunately, versions go out of print, and I have to declare them dead.
Yeah.
But or I have to declare them valuable collector's items and move on to the next version.
That's the thing I wonder about sometimes. Like, these old piles of comics I have, I'm like, are these things priceless or are they worthless? These old
What
collected
are they
editions.
worth? What are they worth to you personally?
Right. I keep them, so they're worth something.
Yeah, that's all that they're ever going to be worth, most likely.
Right. And that's like, I think the only time comics not a appreciating market generally.
Probably not.
I
But
think
if it appreciates in your mind, then
yeah.
that's what matters.
I think the only things I ever have been like those Chip Kid translation things. Like, I think Bat Manga and that first Gengoro Tagame book he put out like increased in price. But I think then they reprinted those, so it doesn't matter anymore. But
When I was in college, I
Yes.
like blew the doors off it by buying a bunch of like hardcover Grant Morrison collections, like the JLA books when they came
Yeah.
out, and I bought them at MSRP. And then 2 years later, they were out of print and worth like 5 times as much.
yeah, that's me.
Rolling in that money.
That's me in video games. I'm going to sell my copies of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the PS1 and then make all my money back.
That's right. It's going to change your life.
It's going to change my life to get $300 or whatever.
It's your retirement plan.
My retirement plan is, I don't know, a 401k.
To die.
To die.
That'll take care of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about money anymore. Okay. Speaking, we're getting to the group segment unofficially, but before we do that, and Cameron, I got to ask you the two questions to officially
Yeah.
end off your segment.
Yeah.
And make it complete my compulsions or whatever.
Make you feel better about it?
What's your favorite type of rock?
I don't have a favorite rock.
Perfect. What about Toho?
Yeah.
What are your opinions there?
I also don't have a. You know what? I heard a great answer to this question one time, and I think I agree. It's my favorite Toho is the person listening to this. Kind of like that Time magazine cover
Yeah.
with a mirror on it.
Those people sounded very clever.
I thought that was brilliant.
I
You
should
know,
get-
I can't. I'm really.
I should
trying
get
to
them,
remember.
I should get them on the show.
Yeah, you really. That'd be a good idea. I'll try to do a little bit of research and figure out
I hope they're not.
who
too,
said that.
I hope they're not too famous.
It's
I
gonna
like
make-
I like the idea of like a Time magazine issue that has the mirror, and then inside of it is another mirror and another mirror forever. And it's kind of like this answer.
Yeah. Oh my god. We are the 24-hour news cycle.
Good.
In a way, we are. Anyway, we're gonna go on a last break because I built these little playlists, so I'm gonna play them. And fulfill my pirate radio portion of this show. We'll be back in like 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Cameron, thank you for joining me here.
Yep.
BRB. Hello, welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Bomb the Music Industry with It Shits. I just need to, mostly I need to get that song out of my system because I was listening to it and it has that part where it sounds like your computer's breaking. That like skipping a song will do when your computer gets goes all sideways and starts to screw up. And it's a cursed sound, and I like it. Anyway, good stuff. We were talking about it in the break, but quote unquote, I think it's just quote unquote.com or something like that. You just go download all that stuff, and you should give them money at the same time. But that's just a damn website that says PayPal. It has like PayPal links and tells them, like, it tells you to say which album you bought when you went to the PayPal link. It's like if you bought this one, type in Jeffers. We're back with
For the
our
inventory
guest.
management.
Yes, that's
For the warehouse.
the MP3 warehouse.
That's right. That's right.
On actually existing websites.
Yes, and that actually looks unchanged since 2009. Even though Hell Mode is on there,
That's a thing of beauty.
it does not look like. I think its favicon is like that HostGator icon like the default.
Oh yeah, HostGator.
And it's like you can just still make websites like that. It's like if you just stick to your guns, people will follow. But it's hard to stick to your guns because I think as we were talking in our first segment, you can't pay for clothes with artistic integrity.
Not yet.
I can do it. I walk in and I say, I'm unrepentant and unwilling to bend to capitalism. They just give it to me.
Oh, where are you
It
going?
works in the Gap. It works at Hollister. You really have to kind of skew younger if you do that.
Oh, okay.
It works at American Eagle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take you into another part of the store where you can do that.
Where you
Yeah.
can just
They're like, right this way, sir.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you can just shoplift here. Ah, perfect. I never.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of shoplifting. I'm sorry.
Oh, great.
that was my bad.
You're
think the thing I'm thinking of is stealing. Yeah, that
You're
might be it.
I think I might have been talking about jail.
You're thinking of a generation burned by pandemic work conditions that simply does not care anymore.
Yeah, where they say just fill your pockets. Here's the
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah, no, I as someone who worked retail during 2 years of COVID, um, fun.
Can I say no
CVS?
thanks?
Yeah.
No, I would not recommend. Yeah, it was like never closed, and I still had to go to work. But it funded Indiepocalypse, so
Thank you,
it's like
CBS.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's that drill tweet about drunk driving. You know.
Thank you, supermarkets. It wasn't
Yeah.
even a fun one; it was a supermarket.
Oh, where was it? You at a Kroger? Where you at?
I'm in New England, and despite what oh God, I've got Jeff on the brain. I'm drawing the blank of my fave New England proto-punk artist, of the Roadrunners.
I don't know. I'm from the South. I only know Southern things.
I'm from New York. I only know Jeff.
Damn it! This is where the chat comes in and helps me. Jonathan Richmond, there he is. Jonathan Richmond.
Okay.
As he famously saying, it was not at the stop. See, now that ruins the cadence of my joke.
Yeah, it took a long time to get here to the punchline, but you actually have to give us the punchline now, Andrew. It's like you're like contractually required.
I was saying, unlike Jonathan Richmond's sayings, I did not work at the Stop and Shop. It was at a different supermarket.
Got it.
Anyway,
Stu Leonard's.
New England chat here on Indiepocalypse Radio. It comes up more often than I thought it would come up, mostly because sometimes people are like, I'm from France. I'm like, I'm from somewhere else. So where you're from tends to come up often or more often. But I've been to New York 2 times and the South a couple times.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, in the couple blocks of where was I? In Astoria that I was attending Indicate East seemed fine.
Yeah, story's okay.
Yeah, seemed all right. I went to the MoMI, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
Mo-
it's cool. I haven't been there in a long time though. But I remember seeing the costumes from No Scrubs and being really, really impressed by that.
When I was there was a lot of like, I saw the side of the building from Blade Runner, and I was like,
That's cool.
I was like, that is cool. I was like, that's cool. It's that thing.
Like the ziggurat.
Yeah, like
Cool.
like the model they shot for it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
Neat.
super. Like you can just they used to make stuff.
In this country, we used to make things
We used to make our buildings and put people inside of them.
like miniatures. We used to make small science fictional futures, and then we filmed them like they were real.
Those were good union jobs.
That's right. That was you were part of the tiny building union.
We used to put up signs and say, "You want to be in this movie," instead of just computer generating the same person 30 times.
That was a union job too, putting up the flyer.
You're right. Everything was.
You were in the Flyers Union 1101.
Yes.
I got the jacket. I got one on eBay, so I feel like I'm working class.
It's the classic of like, someone posting, "This is what you get when you have, when you want to raise wages," and they post kiosk in restaurants. Like, you took that picture in a restaurant that exists right now. They're already doing that, and I'm not seeing those. That money being kicked my way for not having to work that job anymore.
Well, you know what? We're building the future one day at a time. Sorry, Meredith. Cut you
Oh,
off.
I was going to say, how are we going to fix the internet?
How are we going to fix it?
We keep talking about going back, but I don't think we can go back.
No, you can't. You can look back for some advice in some ways, but you can't you're never going to drag it kicking and screaming back to 2005.
We got more enemies on the internet now. It used to, the goal, the dream is the same, to make to build beautiful structures on here.
Yeah.
But the enemies have really tightened their grip. They have distracted us away from our little backyards that we used to maintain. So I don't know. What can we do better this time?
I'm very much I think the personal feed has killed the internet in so many ways. I think you need to
I run a Discord.
Yeah.
For Range Touch, and we have several rules involved in that have made life easier. And one of them is you got to ban people from whatever your little garden you've made. You got to ban people with quote unquote poster energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people who are just they're coming in and they just they just slam people with big controversial takes or purposefully inflammatory comments, and they just peace out.
Right.
No way. We're getting rid of that's some Twitter shit. We're getting rid of that in 2024. We're done.
I'm with you. I noticed that on Blue Sky, I don't really post there much, but when I'm building my feed, I have a really zero tolerance policy now for anybody who appears to be suiting up in a piece of armor before they get on there. As soon as I see that chainmail going on, I am not following that person anymore.
Yeah. I just in the time before we had the internet warrior.
I mean the warrior used to be a noble profession. I feel like it's really been gutted.
Yeah,
that's right. It used to be the village united around the internet warrior. It's like the medieval period. It took 22 internet contributors in order to feed and house a single internet warrior. Right. Today we've individualized it. Neoliberalism has come for internet warriorship, so everyone feels obligated. It's not communal anymore.
Yeah, right.
Now everyone feels like they have to be. You don't. Yeah. We got to go back to the other model.
Yeah, you got a bad brain. You don't have to fight.
Yeah, it creates the problem where we've all become Don Quixotes, and every other user is a windmill. And there's nothing we could do about it, or it's
so the first step then.
Yeah.
The first step then is that we as villagers need to say no to this shit. We need to kind of change the definition of a warrior and not allow people to represent us unless they have been properly vetted.
We need ancient philosopher kings.
Yeah.
with swords and a wizard's cap, and they have to be prepared from all angles. They got to go through a big test.
I think we should appoint the old internet heads to be those people, the ones who've seen some stuff.
Right.
They have a long memory of the internet. I don't know where you're going to find any of them, but
they've all logged off. They're free.
No, we'll just find 65-year-old COBOL programmers who keep the internet running, and then just be we convene the council. We all pick one of them to determine what we do.
Right.
Since they understand the infrastructure of the universe, and whatever happens.
When they see an argument spinning up, they can be like, "Oh, I've seen this 15 different times already. We don't need to have it. I'm simply not going to engage with it."
Mm-hmm.
It's true. That stuff. Oh, I was just going to say that is easy to identify these days.
Yeah.
Yes. The danger of this for our new internet, the danger is, of course, that some of the most egregious posters are the warriors of the past, the noble warriors of the past who have taken to the dark side.
Right. Yes. Truly have come true. Well, the posting corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, it does. One cannot post without touching corruption in some way.
Yes,
and it post. That's right. It comes right back on you. It sticks.
There are also a lot of warriors who don't know that a particular war has ended.
Right, or never existed.
Yeah, it's like you know, you'd read like a 19th century ghost story, and like someone with a flag from a country that doesn't exist anymore would show up, and you'd be like, damn, like history is a big pile of material reality. It's like that, but for like arguments from 2009.
It's like I remember. Uh, I feel like it's in high school. Somebody had a bumper sticker that was like, "What if they threw a war and nobody showed up?" And it's like
Yeah,
the inverse of like, "What if there was no war but we still showed up to fight?"
Yeah, I think that's what we're living in.
great.
And that is exhausting. But
Let's talk about good stuff. Can we talk
Yeah.
about good stuff?
video games, those are good sometimes.
I said good stuff. I don't understand.
I said sometimes. I
Things that
like.
make us happy, you said, right?
Yeah.
Don't either of you know Pit of a Thousand Snakes? That
Yeah,
makes
Pit
me
of a Thousand Snakes is good.
that makes me happy every time I click on it.
Is it still work? Is it back up?
I think it does, or it may. I don't remember.
Also, I'm going to correct you. I think it's a Room of a Thousand Snakes.
It is Room of a Thousand Snakes. You got me right. You got me. That is.
Yeah.
You are correct. I've corrected myself on the show multiple times with that. It is Room of a Thousand Snakes.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
I believe it is offline.
R.I.P. to a true
know.
legend.
I said things that make us happy.
Right, right.
Andrew.
We keep thinking of old things that don't work anymore.
Yeah.
Um. There was a second example I had, but I forgot it.
I had another example of a thing that makes me happy, but I don't remember now. Meredith, what's good? What's good in life right now? You got any media you saw recently or played or whatever?
I'm working my way through the Oscar movies, which probably not going to be a lot that I like. I really enjoyed Killers of the Flower Moon. I saw that last week. And I've been reading a great Willa Cather book, which is probably 100 years old, called Song of the Lark. So a little old, a little new. They're all about a time long since past. So maybe looking back right now is kind of where I'm getting the best art. But there are periods of that, and there are periods of looking forward. So hopefully it'll shift again soon.
What do you think of Leonardo DiCaprio's look in that movie?
He's just it's exhausting. I was talking recently with my brother about how there are so few actors that disappear into more than one great role, and Leonardo DiCaprio was brought up as like an example of somebody who has played a good character in more than one thing. And I find his range kind of exhausting, to be honest. Like, I wish he had less of a range, because I really it feels so sweaty after a while, that the amount of different types of roles that he plays, the amount of a monster he makes himself out to be. But I do like the movies he's in a lot of the time.
I'm trying to think of a Leonardo DiCaprio film I enjoyed. I guess Titanic. Titanic's great. I like
Yeah.
Titanic.
I love Titanic. I love Romeo and Juliet. Okay, these movies
Oh,
are
yeah,
like
that's
25
good.
years
That's
old.
good.
I
Yeah.
like all these old.
I like these movies from my youth. Yeah, it's great.
I was.
Oh no, here we are again.
I know.
I'm so disappointed that as a youth, I was not in. As a teen, I was not in the right headspace for Romeo plus Juliet when it came out.
Oh man, I think you can still go back. I think it's terrific.
Yeah,
I think
it
that
still
I
works.
would have to go back to it. Is I also like trash movies, so or like movies that take hard swings.
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann would always be described as a hard swing, I think.
Mhm.
I also really like The Great Gatsby.
We went through in the American South at that moment that movie came out, what I would call a kind of plague of Gatsby for some reason. So like speakeasies were open. This is still happening. Speakeasies are opening everywhere. Every
Mhm.
town got a speakeasy. My town, which is fairly small that I live in, has, I'm not kidding, 3 speakeasies and one that's a pop-up.
That sucks.
It does. It's no good. No good.
How do you get in? What's the secret?
You gotta this is very funny actually. I went to one of these recently. I was like in an event, and we like went to dinner, and then afterward people were like, you want to go to a bar? We went to a bar, and then after that they were like, let's go to the speakeasy. And I was like, whatever, I'm along for the ride. We get to a place, and we have, I would say, 6 people or something, maybe 8 people. And we like get to, we go to the phone booth, whatever thing. We like boop, 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 put the numbers in. The door opens. Wow, we're in. We have 8 people max.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what you would call him, like the maitre d. Like someone who is like front of house for what is essentially just a bar with poor lighting, right? He comes up and he was like, "Hey, listen, I just want y'all to know that that this is kind of like a low key place and like not really the kind of place that this many people come to. I cannot express to you how many people could sit in that bar. It easily had space for 350 people. It was a warehouse
Yeah.
area. And they were like, but you can't get more than 6 people in our little booths, you know? And like there's no one else there, right? This is like
God.
whatever, midnight or something.
It's for 300 like tortured loner writers.
300 of the coolest people
Yes.
who were there.
I feel,
But yeah, we had a run of weird Gatsby stuff. There were lots of like Gatsby oriented and like roaring 20s things, especially in the Atlanta area at that time, and that burned me to The Great Gatsby. So I never saw it. I never saw.
Oh man, I mean, I will say that watching The Great Gatsby is definitely going to be a better experience than being turned away from a cavernous speakeasy.
Oh, you know what? Let me finish that story. Sorry, not turned away, just lightly chastised.
Oh, that is
Which made it even weirder, right? It would be different. He was like, "There's too many people, you have to leave." But he was like, "No, listen, we're not that kind of spot. Anyway, go sit down and order." And it was like, "All right, man."
If there is one thing I despise nothing more than you and I is being lightly chastised.
Oh my God.
just lightly chastised.
I'm imagining like the scene in Men in Black where he like drags the table across the room and it makes a really loud sound. And that was you and your friends getting the seats together.
Well, that's even the funnier part, right? Is like I was at like this event, so I didn't really know any of the people I was with, other than we had like gone to dinner at this big thing, right? But like, it was even weirder to be chastised in a group of people who I kind of just don't know. Like I'm just standing around with them.
Right.
It sounds like a reality show.
It felt that way a little bit.
Because it's a weird dynamic for a group to be chastised of strangers. Because like who's the one that then deals with that?
Well, and then you can't be like, "Oh, Greg took us here."
Yeah,
Greg,
right.
why'd you do it? And it's like, well, I guess we all kind of weird. We kind of got in trouble, but now we're not because they want us to spend money.
Right. Who's responsible for making sure this group has fun tonight? Nobody, it turns out.
I left shortly after. I will say, perfectly pleasant people.
Look, I understand why you wouldn't want to see The Great Gatsby after that.
Yeah, that burned me. Yeah, a thing that happened to me in 2023 has retroactively burned me too.
Well,
Gatsby.
who has time to watch movies? When they come out. What even,
Flat Circle, et cetera, et cetera.
What even came out in 2023? Who knows? Couldn't tell you.
Well, Meredith can tell us. Meredith's watching all these damn movies.
At least one movie.
Yes.
What are the other ones? What are the other ones you got?
I saw Holdovers the other night. That one is like pretty standard fare, but good performances. What I like to do this time of year is I watch all of the Oscar movies. I usually don't have time for them during the year. I watch them all in January when I'm trying to recalibrate and stay in and be a good girl and not drink or smoke weed. So I'm like watching all these movies with a stone face and deciding which one is my movie to win and which one is my evil movie, which is the movie that is going to get way more nominations than it deserves. And so far, I have not identified the evil movie, but I know it's coming. There's always an evil movie. And I'm hoping I can watch all of them before I know what those nominations are going to be. So then I'll be like, yep, I knew this one would be evil.
Keep an eye out for a movie. Are there any prominent 2023 films with a sick person and one not sick person in it?
A sick person and a not sick person?
Sick as in they can like do a kickflip or
any they're unhealthy. They're
Oh, I see. I got you.
That sounds like Killer of the Flower Moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is it.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's a good one. So that's the one to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. She should win for that. Lily Gladstone should give her an award. It's good.
I mean, I think she deserves it more than like give it to her. Like, let's give her the award because nobody.
Yeah, it's not a pity award. I think she deserves it, but I'm just saying, yeah, we can be done now. Just give it over.
Yeah. Well, I gotta watch them all and be the judge of that. But I don't think I'm gonna see one I enjoy more than that. I mean, I think it occupies rare air, that movie. it deserves some awards.
Hendrik Strug is in the chat saying, "Where's the Oscar for best kickflip?" And that's
Mm.
right. You know, when they expanded the number of best picture possible nominations to 12, they should have also added best kickflip.
Yeah,
Tony Hawk would.
You got to get the kids back somehow. I'm sure that those viewer numbers are dwindling. So when you put the Oscars on Twitch, you need something to really pull them in. But,
Well, last year we had the slap, so
Yes.
there's probably not going to be anything to beat that this year.
No.
But also, like, I don't know if the kickflip movies want to be put at the children's table. I don't think that's fair. They should be in the best picture category.
I guess that's right.
They
Yeah,
should.
you want it to. You don't want people to feel like they're getting a kind of a pity award or whatever, like we've had to.
Yeah.
That's why we should eliminate best documentary, best foreign film. We
Oh,
need to
yes.
eliminate all of these. It should just be best picture, and that's it.
Yeah,
Best
come
short
on.
film, get rid of those.
Come on. Back in the day, that's what they did. Best picture, and everyone went home.
Right. Best picture, best actors, you're done. Hello, goodbye, writers. And we give all the nominees we give all the awards to the people who make the movie off camera. Rush them
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, it's good. No, my villain for this year is Robert Downey Jr. winning any kind of award.
What was he in?
He's an Oppenheimer.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one yet. That look
great.
good. That movie's like 3.5 hours long, right?
Oh, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah. All right.
I'm in. I went and saw it twice in a movie theater.
Okay. All right. I have a feeling I'll like it, but yeah, I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I'm not even like a big Nolan person. I'm like totally. It's not like I was like, "Ooh, I gotta go see the thing." I think it's a good movie.
He finally made a good one, huh?
What, you're telling me The Dark Knight?
You try.
You're telling me? It's really fascinating. When you're doing the thing at the beginning of class, right? For the first class of the semester, you say, "What's your name? What's your major? What's your favorite movie?" It's just icebreaker stuff, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, like a decade ago, The Dark Knight was like every other one. You get a room of like 10 Dark Knights. Then it disappeared. No Dark Knights for like 6-7 years.
And now it's back.
It's back. 2024, people are talking about The Dark Knight again for some reason that I don't know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Heath Ledger has a little bit of a. Oh no, wait, Heath Ledger's not in that one.
He's in that one. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Oh, okay. So he's become a bit of a folk hero then.
Maybe, you know what? But that used to be the thing they would talk about. That the Jorker is so good. They didn't bring that up. They were just like, it's a good movie. And I was like, why? And they're like, Batman is cool.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's superheroes. They turn back around and people are tired of superheroes. So like the Dark Knight's the good one of those.
Yeah. Look, if you give me a random assortment, you give me the the end of the year box of chocolates, the Valentine's Day box of chocolates of random superhero movies. I'm looking at the key on the back of the lid.
Right.
I'm going to take the Dark Knight 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, you gotta. He does he has a Humvee that drives on things, I guess.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It could just be like.
Oh, go ahead.
It could just be that you love the one that came out when you were 15 or 16, Like I used to be like, oh, the only good one they ever made was Spider-Man. And it's like, of course it was. I was 16.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think Spider-Man 2 are really good. I think Blade is really good. Before the current era of superhero stuff. Yeah.
Blade rules.
I watched Blade recently. That movie is still very good. It holds up. You can go back.
I should. I'm a Del Toro freak.
That was not him.
That was
He
not.
did
No, he
two.
did two. Right, he did two. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I've been. I go, oh yeah. Then I remember. Oh no, he didn't. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll get to it later, maybe.
It's still good.
Yeah.
It's I did 1 and 2 back to back. They both hold up. Fun to watch. But yeah, but I think you're right, Meredith. I'm nostalgic for the pre-Marvel universe of just like, hey, it's Batman. He's doing Batman stuff. That's fun.
Sometimes there's a different Batman.
One time, Michael Lutz and I, my Range Touch co-host, we were in Chicago last year, and we were near Lower Wacker Drive, where the famous tractor trailer, the big truck scene in The Dark Knight is filmed. And I was like, we need to be on the other side of this. And Michael said, "Why don't we go up? Because there's Wacker Drive, I believe. Someone can correct me, from some Chicagoite can correct this. There is the street, and then Lower Wacker Drive is like the thing that's under the ground." And I said, "Well, it's just over here. We can walk underneath the ground." And that's why I learned that no one walks under there. And it was the most terrifying, like it was the most. It was Gotham City, I guess is what I'm saying, right? Dripping pipes, ice, garbage everywhere. It was just one of those, and I was like, "Well, I'm sorry I did this to us, but we got the Batman experience," is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
we got
legit.
to see where the thing was.
There's a reason you pick Chicago if you want your rainy, miserable city, I guess. Your city drenched in darkness.
Well, I mean, only one guy's going to drag him out of there, right?
Right, I think so.
He is going to make the city better, right? I didn't see the third Batman movie. He does make the city like really good, right?
I believe so. I know that billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne's not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I mean,
new light rail system.
Just sitting in his ivory tower. Hey Bruce, could you spruce up those pipes down there? On the
free pre-K might be nice.
No.
I will go and see that one. If Nolan's like, "I'm coming back to Batman, I'm doing a fourth one," it's a long form political drama about trying to get a light rail built in Gotham City.
Just a lot of red tape.
Bruce could do it.
It's just like, him trying to hammer through red tape.
He's like, "I'm gonna."
Commissioner Gordon's there.
Yeah, right. Nolan's like, "I'm gonna be the one that makes the movie about Batman. What if Bruce Wayne did everything and just fought things with money, the true power?"
That'd be good.
Not gonna happen.
I would watch him.
Give it 10, 20 years, and then we'll get the film equivalent of the weirdo writer who gets to make the movie for the Z-lister character that nobody cares about.
No, we try. I mean, that was ostensibly what the She-Hulk series was going to be, right? Which was just like, yeah, She-Hulk is cool because she is both the Hulk, or a Hulk, I guess, and also a lawyer, and she can be a Hulk lawyer, and that's cool. And there's like a whole little sub-universe of Damage Control, which is the law firm that deals with everything superhero related. Yeah, I know all about this. What about it?
Yes, no,
And then they couldn't commit. They couldn't even commit to that being just like its own little weird thing, So I have no faith.
No, was I thinking? Did I watch that Batman animated series recently? And was I thinking about whose job is it to go and replaster all the buildings that Batman sticks his grappling hook into? Maybe.
It seems over from the outside. I don't really pay attention to superhero stuff, but to me it seems over. Just like the sheer number of these things and the tepid reactions to each one. It kind of seems like we're reaching the end. Maybe I don't know.
Until like video games, or I guess it's the next video. What's the next video game movie that's coming out? If that's
Sonic 3,
if that does like gangbusters, then I think you see the pivot over to video games as the IPs to mine, and superheroes kind of slowly fade away. Maybe
could be, but do the movies do better than the games themselves?
I think Mario made $1 billion.
Right. We'll keep seeing the Mario movies.
Yeah. And I think all the Sonic films are done really well too. Ben Schwartz plays Sonic, and Jim Carrey's the Robotnik, right? So
yes.
So it's kind of like predatory on some of that other star power.
Right. And even Uncharted made money. I forgot they made that movie, and I had to look up. They made one. Did it make money? Yeah, it made like 4K, whatever a budget, So like,
did y'all see the Mario movie?
No.
I took my son.
What'd you think about how many times he said "Mamma Mia"?
Oh, not for me. Now, I feel like I should be nice because my son liked it so much, but
what was he into?
Well, the fact that it was a movie about Mario really did it for him. And that's pretty much where the list ends.
I was a child once who watched a Super Mario Brothers movie, and that did it for me.
Yeah, that movie's good.
I love it.
It is.
I think it's. I love this kind of relitigation of the Mario movie.
It's good because it was weird and they tried something with it, and I don't think that's ever going to happen again. You don't try weird things with a $1 billion movie.
Right.
So you get oatmeal with a $1 billion movie, and I'm so tired of oatmeal.
Oatmeal's good for you though.
Well,
Keep you
yeah, but I
regular.
already eat it for breakfast. I don't need that one for an after dinner snack.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Slime Hunter in the chat's pointing out that Kojima is making Death Stranding as a movie for A24.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Cameron, keep an eye on the chat where I have my Discord window over it.
It's okay.
I got it. You've got the content creator instincts that I don't. That I lack.
This is it. Yeah. You only run so many like massive charity streams, and you have to like produce the whole thing before you start looking at the chat.
Oh yeah, no, I do those. That's set your calendar in March. I think I'm doing one of those, and not really charity. I say with heavy finger quotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, doesn't it fund your magazine? I don't think
that's not a charity. It's a pledge drive.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
It's getting. It also pays the contributors. So is paying a bunch of underpaid indie developers not a charity of a sort?
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah,
it's a good cause.
Yeah,
isn't commerce just a charity?
Isn't commerce a charity? Oh, listen.
There's just Jeff Bezos stating, well, listen, if an Amazon Prime subscription is, in fact, in a certain perspective, it's a charity.
Yeah, so if
these people can barely make a living, and every dollar you give them sustains them.
This is why they don't pay taxes. Now I'm putting it together.
So, folks, if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, just jam that subscription button on that twitch.tv/pizza pranks, and I will get roughly 30 cents from that.
Oh, yeah.
Payday from that $120 you spend every year.
That's good stuff.
I've gotten one Twitch payout in 130 weeks for $50. Granted, I stream once.
That's pretty good.
Granted, I stream like 2 to 3 hours once a week.
Yeah, dude. Why are you bragging?
Sorry,
I know. So that buys one Chipotle burrito, I think.
I am new money indie. Sorry, I forgot.
That's right.
That's right. You'll learn.
I have to I have to play poverty tourism a little. So, I mean, Chipotle bowls. Yeah, I can't afford one of those.
Yeah, sell it. Keep going. They want to hear this part.
I was not thinking all about how excited I was that you could buy a full McDonald's value for like $9 for a while. And then they took the coupon away, and I was like, I have to pay money for food again? God damn it. It sucks.
What's McDonald's running right now?
It's like $15-$16 or something, maybe.
Damn. I don't eat meat, so McDonald's is like off the table. Entirely.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. No, it's a weird thing where like I could do it very easily, I think. I don't have that. I've known some people who are switched, but then to even like veganism, and then just like still have like picky diets and eat just like chicken, like fake chicken all the time or whatever.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But I'm like, I can just eat raw Brussels sprouts or whatever, and just like anything. I have a very open palate. But
then perhaps veganism is for you.
It probably, in one of these days, it probably is. But I'm also I like the taste of it. Not only are our works of media imperfect, people might be imperfect.
I have no idea what meat tastes like.
You've never eaten it?
No, I mean I've had it, but it's been I think 10 years, maybe something like that. What year are we at? 2024? Yeah, it's been 10 years, more than 10 years. It's been, oh geez, I think 14 years, 13, 14, something like that. And I just can't this comes up occasionally, and I miss eating meat. Because I know in my heart it tastes delicious. I believe that ideologically it must be good, but I don't know what it tastes like. I can't summon that up for you, which is like a fascinating thing.
No, it's like now you're asking me to describe a taste. I don't know if I could describe a taste.
I don't know. You don't have to. It's a notable and interesting thing that you can forget what a taste is.
Right.
I think the Impossible Burger is pretty close.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. So I've had that, and I'm like, ooh, this is good. And it tastes like a burger, but there's no way to check.
And I've definitely had different seitan dishes before that are indistinguishable from sausage and peppers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with the right seasonings and everything, It's barely even.
A lot
noticed.
of a lot of the taste of meat comes down to the seasonings. Lies the vegan.
It's mostly seasoning, yeah. And so if you just get that right, you're in the meat zone.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Where I live, I'm as I said before, I'm in the South, and so like our Kroger or our Publix, they carry Impossible Meat and Beyond Meat and those things, but they go on clearance and sale constantly because I'm the only person purchasing them, I believe, in like a 50-mile radius. And
Yeah.
so my freezer is absolutely to the gills with like 1 pound blocks of Beyond Meat that I buy for like $3.20 because they're on clearance.
Yeah, I do that at my local place too. I just want to keep it stocked,
Yeah, you never
Please
know.
don't stop selling this.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, that is a thing. That's a thing you really get is like a non-meat eating person where you like find a thing you like and then it just goes away. Like
Yeah.
like chicken's not going away, right?
No.
Maybe I want it to. Maybe it'd be better if it did. Whatever. It's not. I feel confident saying that.
Yeah,
Right?
I
But like,
think I think if people had to, they'd grow their own chickens and eat them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I couldn't, and that's why I don't. But it would be very hard to grow your own beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
And
had people on my street. Do they keep chickens? I know. No, there is.
Yeah.
There are people. There are people. I passed it because they have eggs. They sell eggs on the street. Like they have a basket of eggs on there. Like at the end of their driveway, there's like eggs, $5.
And you just come by and you pick up an egg. You need one egg. You're like, I'm getting the egg out of the basket.
I've never gone to the egg basket, so I don't know the transaction process.
Huh.
But
You got to figure this out.
but I
Yeah,
do
no, those
know
are
that-
probably good eggs.
I do
Yeah.
know people keep eggs, and I do know people keep like on like a couple houses down from me. Someone kept ducks for a long time. But I think-
Yeah, I know someone who locally their neighbor just turned their entire like yard into a goat farm, which seemed pretty extreme as a
Oh,
thing to do
man.
in your backyard.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a little intense, and you don't get meat unless you don't get milk unless they're having babies.
Mm-hmm.
That's you can't just have one goat who makes you milk.
No, I think it went from like to hear this person describe it. It went from like no goats to the next day 15 goats.
Oh my
It was
God.
like from 0 to 60 on the goat thing.
that's
Oh my God, that's full commitment.
but it's truly the dream though. What if
Yeah.
that's I mean my game dev dream is just like the Jeff Minter lifestyle, just
Mm-hmm.
out of the countryside on my own, or not on my own, but on the countryside with my yaks or my different bovine or whatever.
Yeah.
Digital Eclipse stole my pipe dream of making a Jeff Minter collection, but also excited that somebody would make a Jeff Minter collection.
Off the grid, Andrew. Burn your social security card.
But I
Just
need
do it.
to get. I still need to get paid for things.
No, you don't. You gotta suborn capitalism, okay?
This
Get
this-
out there.
It's no joke to work the land, though. That's a lot of
Yeah.
work. I don't know if I'd have energy to make video games at the end of that day.
Right. It is. I also, I'm in a climate where like, New England is not a year-round farming climate.
Oh my
You gotta
goodness, yeah.
you gotta heat that greenhouse. You gotta start working on solar battery.
Yeah,
build,
get that double cover.
That's
You'll
right.
be fine.
build
Yeah,
a,
you'll be good.
build a bog in my backyard.
We've talked about it before. So I say we, not
Yes.
all of us together, but on Range Touch, we've talked about it before. That I live on a farm. I in 2022 moved to one. That's why I was a little bit late coming to this thing. We were putting together a greenhouse that we just got.
Oh.
And Michael Lutz, my co-host, lives on a cranberry bog. And so
I live-
indoor content for outdoor kids.
Yes,
you know
I
what I'm
live-
saying?
When are those harvested? I'm guessing right before Thanksgiving.
For cranberries, I don't know. I don't know when he does
They're-
that.
they're-
You,
they're- I'm trying to remember because I'm casting my brain back. I live near like Ocean Spray, like literally Ocean Spray.
Cool.
And there's a lot of seasonal work comes in to work the cranberry bog. And it is during like the fall. It is like in the colder season. It's definitely not during the summer.
Yeah, because you got to flood it, and then
Yeah.
if it freezes, that's good. I think.
Right. I don't know
They'll
all
make
It
the,
does
them.
something
They'll
to
make
the
them sweeter.
sugars, and yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's one of those.
I don't know
Oh,
all
man.
the logistics of it, but I could walk to one right now if I wanted. I could leave this show, go
Do
walk
it!
to,
I dare you! I
go-
dare you! Andrew. Go
walk
walk
to-
to a cranberry
go
bog.
walk to a cranberry bog, and I don't know if there's cranberries in it. I don't know how deep it is. I never went to the ocean. Something I was thinking about because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about going on like field trips, and I never went on a field like our field trips were like we never went on school field trips, if that makes sense.
I mean, it does make sense. It's weird, but it makes sense.
Like
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, like we both speak the same language. I'm putting that together, but to have never gone on a field trip is a little odd. Yeah.
Or like listen to other people be like, oh, we went to field trips to DC to etc. Like I'm like, oh, we went to like local historical sites in our town.
Oh,
yeah.
That you could walk to.
I never stayed in a hotel somewhere for a
Yes.
field trip.
Yeah. We had, I think, one trip you could take during the 8th grade to go to DC, like as a thing. But for the most part, like, I went to New Echota like 200 times.
Oh, phew.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wipe my brow as if my school did not lose accreditation or something for a period. Luckily, I was long gone by then.
Phew.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't bad when you were there.
No, not at all. Hey, that's why I live here, baby. The rent is cheap. Anyway.
Well, clearly it's tempting to think about working the land when all you do all day is type and
Yes.
and make the ones and zeros go beep boop.
Yeah.
But that remains a distant dream for
Right.
me.
Yeah, no, I would love to be like, but then it's like, I don't want to keep, like, how can I tend the land, but also be like, these turkeys are my friends. I don't want them to eat my food. And
Yeah, there's no real, you really gotta, like, I was told a while ago that you can't really be sentimental with chickens because they do eventually stop laying, and then you have to make decisions about whether you want a pet for the next 10 years or a chicken to eat now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you want to hear something wild about that?
Mhm.
You can keep their, like, because what kills a chicken more, chicken sadness incoming. What will kill a chicken after it stops laying is that eventually an egg will get hung in its body, like it's stuck, and you will need to kill it, or it will die.
Oh my God.
Once it is past laying age, I've read a bunch of stuff about this. You can give chickens birth control, and then they're totally cool for like 15 years. Egg bound is the word. Slime Hunter in the chat gave it to me. Egg bound is what that's called. But yeah, you can feed them birth control, and then they're just a pet for the next 15 years because they live forever.
Yeah, that's my madness. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Truly, I appreciate. I think I talked about this on the show, but I love the human instinct. It's like, what if we just made friends with all these weird little guys to live around us?
Yeah. That's our like species being, is wanting to be friends with all the weird little guys.
And sometimes those, to our detriment. It's not a shared. They don't have that same concept of what if we were friends all the time.
Yeah, like maybe Mothra doesn't understand what it means to like ally with humans or whatever. But we can get along, right?
Yeah, right.
Perfectly fine.
That's why they have Monster Island.
Yeah, they go over there and we go over here and we're like totally cool.
I hope no one lets any of the monsters off Monster Island.
That's never happened, and it won't. So
we might have to get rid of them all.
Yeah. Some sort of war of the monsters? No, never.
No.
That would never happen.
If the monsters had a war, we'd have to destroy them all, I think. And I would never want to do that to Angora. Or the spider one. I forgot the name of it.
What's that big sludge monster called?
I knew this at one point, and I forgot. The pollution monster. I don't remember.
Yeah. Meredith, are you a big Godzilla and Allied?
I could not tell you any additional information about them.
That was a real 50-50 coin flip for me.
Yeah.
If you had told me, yes, I am as deep on the Godzilla universe as a person could be, I would believe that just as much as knowing nothing about it.
I saw Godzilla versus Kong, and I really appreciated the very like dry dialogue from the humans, just being like, "Godzilla is coming. and just like sort of stating the absolutely outrageous facts about the situation with such in such a sober way.
Mm-hmm.
Was
that part of your like Oscar thing for 2 years
Yes.
ago? It was part of your Oscar bid.
No, that was just for fun. That wasn't homework.
Hedora from the chat, or Hedora.
Oh yeah, Hedora, the big sludge monster.
I do recommend people watch. A good double feature is the original Godzilla plus the American cut of the original Godzilla. If you've never seen it, it's like Godzilla, but they stuck an American into it. He's like always in like. It's like an American, like the one Asian actor they had in the 50s or whatever that they were employing. And they're in the corner of every scene. And it's really a strange thing to see. They sideline. Have you seen the original Godzilla?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how there's that doctor with the eye patch is kind of like one of the main characters?
Mm-hmm.
He's like barely in it. Like they cut most of his scenes.
Yeah, Big Boss was his name.
Yeah, Big Boss.
Yep.
The Big Boss.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Escape from New York like a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I get why Kojima likes this guy. He's cool as hell.
Snake Plissken is one of the coolest people.
Yeah, he's just like a cool guy. And it's like, if you want to make a thing about a cool guy, you got a cool guy right there.
Do you have any strong opinions about Escape from New York, Meredith, or as a New Yorker?
No, I did see it a while back, but I have to admit my memory is hazy at this point. I do remember liking it though.
What's the good New York movie? If we had to like pick a New York film to watch.
Well, for me, I always think about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like not New York City, but Long Island, where I'm from. Is it kind of gives you the full span of the island, of taking the train across the island and to the shore, and all the sadness and longing involved in that. So I definitely go back to that one a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where's Montauk?
That's the end. So the end of Long Island.
Oh. You know, I've lived my whole life just assuming it was like in Canada. I just assumed it was far away, and that's why it was like a big deal.
It's cold. It's surrounded by ocean, and they depict it as cold.
Any is that going to be in Perfect Tides too?
Yeah, I mean the rail system is part of that game, and just the commute from the city out to the island is a big part of the game. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of that sadness and drive from my point of view.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to put my journalist hat back on.
Okay.
Let me. Because you know, there's just how many opportunities am I going to have to like just throw random questions about Perfect Tides to you?
The point of the show is to get people in the rooms together that wouldn't usually be in rooms together. Probably
it worked out.
Yeah.
How is any of that autobiographical?
Any of it? I mean, yeah. I feel like what was how did you answer evasively before? I feel like I want to go for that too.
I think just by saying I'm not going to answer the question.
The way I usually answer questions like that is that nothing in it is real, but it's all true.
Right. Sure.
You know, it is my truth. Through an aesthetic lens that cannot be interpreted as anything that really happened.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have there was no point in your life where you were like, we're going to put the CD in and we're going to have a montage of doing stuff. You never had a friendship montage with anyone.
I mean, I in my memory, I did. We all kind of have a montage when we think back on it. In real time, no.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
The human montage is difficult to achieve. We have this problem with like progressing through linear time.
Huge bummer.
We do seem to. But yeah, I when I make these games, it's kind of good that it takes me a few years to make each one, because I kind of get back into the mode of being that age, and I start to feel the way I felt back then, and I've realized that it takes a long time to unearth that feeling again, because it's the sort of feeling that you kind of want to forget about, at least when you've recently experienced it. You want to push it down and for that to not be you ever again. And now that I'm older, I don't feel that way about it anymore. Now I want to remember it, and it takes a little while to excavate all that and articulate it again.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. The truth in that, like in the way it's almost try making a piece of art that is not, related to one's biography in any way.
Okay, done. Easy.
Oh, oh, how do you do it?
Blocking it all out.
Oh, okay. Phew. Phew.
Making up fictional stories about what you're like. But even that
Yeah.
says something about what you're like.
Right, right.
Nah, no. Nah. I mean, I see what you're saying, but no, thank you.
I think that's kind of a key reason that I've heard people, with the utmost honesty say about my game that sounds great, but I'm not going to play that because
Right.
it is not something they'd like to revisit.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I'm sure there's pieces of that maybe hit people too hard. But there's, I think lots of those things for me are like, oh yeah, like life was different back then.
Yes, yes. There is like there are tons of pieces, that encapsulates art in general. A lot of it's like, oh, this is great. I would not recommend it to anyone easily. It's a journey of an experience.
But isn't that video games, the essence of it, that you're
Yes.
that you're giving people experiences or giving them new lenses through which to experience?
Yes, and I would recommend people actually just constantly get out of their own experience zone or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And get ready for bad times occasionally, I guess.
Yes. Be me for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. And you might see little bits of yourself in there. I remember thinking like,
So it is all autobiographical.
I mean, like I said, it's true. It's all
You've
true.
been cornered.
Because like when I was playing, I was constantly thinking, I'm like in my mind, because I am very Cape adjacent, Cape Cod that is, and in my mind, like, oh, this is like Cape Cod, even though I don't think it was obviously not Cape Cod, but it
No,
has,
it's a place called Fire Island that I
Yeah.
based it on, and it's pretty similar to what I depict. I depicted a kind of a little Micro Machines version of it, but
right.
it is a real place, and I have heard from people who grew up on tourist islands and kind of felt the same way about it. So I did not personally do that. So that's sort of
Right.
that's one of the biggest bits of fiction about it.
Well,
but
I never had to take a ferry, but the idea of like hey, here are all the summer people coming in, and the ghost towns. It's like, yeah, that's very familiar, but now I'm getting whatever people are moving in here. I got a brewery now, and a big sign that said acai bowls.
Well, that is a weird thing that's happening. I'm from extremely rural America, and where I'm from and where my parents still live, it's kind of at the tail end of it's in the Appalachian foothills. So it's like kind of at the tail end of the thing. And it's becoming the kind of thing where there are like lots of retirees from the Northeast and the West Coast who are moving there. In a place that is not like traditionally a tourist place at all, right? But they're moving there, and then that also brings in this kind of quaintness or whatever. Or they're making investments there with the idea that they'll move there in retirement, so they're like building houses that they then rent out as vacation homes or whatever. And that's becoming more and more. I was just talking to my parents about it recently, and that's becoming like its own industry in the place. So it's weird that. Like rural mainland America is kind of taking on some of that character as people continue to leave those places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the speculation is half of the value.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I set my watch to the gas station. It looks like it's been closed and dilapidated for as long as I've lived, even though it's still open. But once that thing gets renovated or replaced, the town is
Time to
gone.
move. Yeah.
Time to get out of here.
We're losing our Krispy Kreme, and it's turning into a Quick Trip.
I know one of the is a Quick Trip another thing?
Quick Trip is like a gas station.
Oh, okay.
It's like a big, nice gas station.
Are those like
and our small donut chain is being displaced by it.
Are those like Wawas?
Yeah, it's like a Wawa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there were those Midwest southern kind of like huge gas stations that have everything sort of things.
You're thinking of Buc-ee's.
I'm thinking of Buc-ee's. That's what I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of that beaver or whatever the hell he is.
Yeah, I should.
That cursed creature.
I'm thinking of heading back to the south at some point.
Well, you should hit that Buc-ee's. They got a lot of toilets.
I got a Waffle House last time I was there.
It's fine.
Granted, I was going to Atlanta, and I saw the block between the convention center and my hotel in Atlanta. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how I visit places.
Where were you? The World Congress Center? Let's get real
Yes.
specific.
Yes, I was at MomoCon specifically.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was
That's an okay spot. But
Yeah.
there's So I got my PhD at Georgia State, which is like right there. It's on the other side of the big park that's right there. So I've spent a
Yes.
lot of time in that area.
Yes, yes. It's so I'm addressing the chat now. You cursed me, but yes, I prefer not to give too much of where I am, but I'm very near the Cape, and would regularly go to the Cape. I had a friend who lived on it, and yes, in my mind, Perfect Tides gave me a very specific, I guess, that northeastern summer, winter vacation land kind of area, of like. Here's the seasonal influx of people, and then they're gone, and then it's cold, and it's just kind of you and your people. I guess if you lived on Nantucket or whatever. But Nantucket's a different thing, too. But
Provincetown, maybe?
I've been to Provincetown a couple times, yeah. If that's 3-hour drive all the way to the tip of that flexing arm. I got
what now?
the Cape. When I describe Cape Cod to people, especially if they're like
Mhm.
outside of the United States, I say it's like the flexing arm on America.
I'm gonna look at it. Oh, it is. Whoa! Holy shit!
Yeah.
Someone should get they should do like a big earthwork that is like a tattoo of Cape Cod on Cape Cod, so you
Yeah.
can see it from space.
So we know. And
That
I
would
go,
be
yeah,
cool.
I live in that flexing arm.
Yeah.
Because, the United States, very big. Very big
No,
place.
what? No way.
Huge, massive location. So it's hard to describe tell people like who live in, those little bitty European countries. Be like,
Yeah.
oh,
Get the hell out of here. The people from the Netherlands.
It's also when I stopped being part of an old region,
Mm-hmm.
when it's like, yeah, my house is from the 1700s.
That's old.
Or not mine specifically isn't. My friend has got like, it has like servants' quarters. Like it has one of those old houses that still have like the backs, tiny back stairs upwards.
Oh, yeah. I got the back stairs in my house in Philly.
Yeah. He's got the basement that's just like a rock or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great for when you want to like race your son up and down the stairs by taking 2 separate staircases.
Yeah. It's I not having a son or the benefit
Or a
is-
servant.
Yes, my servant.
You can race your servant.
You let him win? The servant.
Well, I always shout to him, we're not actually racing, because I don't want him to fall.
Yeah,
and
right.
So usually he wins.
Huh. Interesting.
Yes, yeah. Who has to point to their arm muscle to describe what town they're in. I do that when I'm in person and they go, oh, where about you from? I just say like right about, if you look at this, I'm like right about here. And I point to part of my arm and it works.
I do that as much as possible about
Yeah.
any topic.
Right. It's like,
Gotta show these things off.
Yeah, I gotta take out my sick coder guns, my artist. I don't have time. I've thought about that, like working out. Like I literally do not have time to fit into my schedule.
Oh, it's so good though.
It is like the couple of times I've done it for like a month or two. It's like it's great.
I highly recommend weightlifting for the artist. It's extremely meditative. It's a thing that actually blanks the brain.
Yeah. No, I've gotten very good. Besides this, I don't do any work on the weekends, and it's like keeps me sustainable.
Mm.
Would not.
Yeah,
be,
you need those. You need those no thinking times.
Yeah.
In your routine.
I would have like burnt out forever ago. And if you burn out forever ago, you'll never make it to that 10-year period where people go, good work.
I love that old thing you made. What was it called? Let me think.
Yeah. Oh, it's I think my greatest goal is to be underappreciated in my time. Discovered centuries later. Oh, this thing was cool.
Well, yeah, you don't have to work too hard for that one.
No. You just kind of do it and then give up and go do something normal. But speaking of giving up and doing something normal, we ought to give up the show and go back to our normal lives.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's hosting.
Yeah, terrific transition.
Only done it 134 times. One of these days I'll become a good host. I've been thinking of getting more into. I gotta get more in the podcast game. So it's gotta tap that untapped market.
Yeah, the untapped market of podcasts. You're
Yes.
right.
Well, I had
Flush with cash, the podcasting world. Let me tell you.
I had a funny thought when I was doing my year in review that I didn't actually put in my year in review, where I was like, because I think last year I gave up on sending press emails entirely. No, the year before that, the year after that I just kind of tuned out entirely, and then this year I was like, you know, there is a path. There's a clearer path in my brain. Like I had this as I was sitting at home, working and listening to podcasts. I had the idle thought of there's a clearer path for me to get onto the Doughboys podcast than there is me to get into like another piece of press ever again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just email Weiger.
And then I was like, there is a clearer path there. I'm
Yes.
I'm a Massachusetts guy too.
Yeah. You're gonna get played.
Yeah,
You got it. You got this.
Karen.
You should do it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I go through get played, to that, but I was like, but how do I ever get attention from IGN? It's like, literally do not know how to do it.
Yeah, give up
All
on
you
that
gotta do
one.
is get on the, just get on the panel show, get on Kind of Funny,
Right.
work your way up that way.
Right. And how do you
Start in the mailroom.
How do I get into
Right.
kind of
That's
see?
right.
There's no way for me to get into all these games. People already know who I am, and they're like, "No, thank you. We're not interested."
I mean, do we
Yeah.
should we really hash out the games media thing right now? I feel
I'm
like we
not going
could real
to.
quick.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Cameron. It's a trap. We trapped you here. We're going to
No,
lambast you.
you're one of the good ones, Cameron. You're one of the good ones.
I mean, I can't say. But for the most part, everyone wants to cover everything.
Yeah, right,
And
but-
they are either the thing that before I worked like long term in a lot of different capacities in games press, I was like, why are they not doing all the things I want?
Right.
And then I did that for like a year, like was really, really in it. In a bunch of different capacities for a year when I was finishing my PhD, and I was like, "Oh, it's because you don't have time to think about anything."
Right. You have to.
It's like actively harmful to like your brain to have to be in the games press.
You have to churn out the content mill. It's why.
Well, and like everyone also hates you, right? And maybe
Right.
sometimes like that's actually like justified's not the right word, but sometimes the games press makes mistakes, right? In the way that everyone does all the time.
Yeah.
The difference being is that literally any other industry has like a mechanism for addressing that and thinking through it and redressing it or whatever. And there's the games press does not have that mechanism. It just has like powering through it because your audience is generally hostile, right? Like across the board. And so, like, I think that's part of it. And the other one is, like, yeah, you just, like, as y'all have experienced, I'm sure, you just have to, like, find someone who cares enough to talk about the thing. And, like, then they got to go to bat. Like, I tried to cover Indiepocalypse a couple different times in various places.
I have had people who answered my email positively and got burned out of the industry before getting a chance,
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. And, like, I just could never convince someone to, like, let me run the thing or whatever.
I stopped sending because I don't begrudge anyone to like, where's the clicks in Indiepocalypse,
I personally believe there's a billion clicks in it, but I'm not the person who views all the clicks. So
no, Cameron, there's clicks 10 years from now for it. I honestly, part of me, I was thinking like I think there are clicks if I quit it. I think if I quit, there's a story there,
There's a retrospective,
Yeah.
yes.
There's like the ambitions of a failed designer, but then joke's on you, I did it Tom Sawyer style.
You got more.
Right, and then I was like, never actually quit.
They immediately stopped talking about it.
Right, like, oh, we got tricked, as Andrew watched from the rafters at his own funeral.
It's like a reverse Michigan J Frog.
that's 100% it. You got to put all your stuff in a box.
Yeah.
So the space construction worker digs it all up.
Speaking of boxes, I've been putting a bunch of stuff in little boxes, and that's my new strat. And it's
the tapes, right?
the tapes. Like I've got like 9 signups. It's a cool rec for physical edition. It's a cool way to make physical editions of your games. I highly recommend it.
I like that. I like the little boxes. Real
Yeah,
cute.
I've been. If you're on the stream, you can see. I can post it in here too. I've started. Let's get into the number one podcast zone, where people love it. It's where we get to promote stuff. But I'm.
Yeah.
This year, or was it just last week? When did I start doing this? I think it was 2 weeks ago. Last week. Time is infinite. Who knows? Recently, extremely recently, I just opened up print on demand physical game services for people, where it's like, if you make a game and you want me to make little physical editions inside of cassette cases, you just go to what is it, indiepocalypse.com/game club, tape club. That's my URL. And I just like put those out there. And then I've already got 9 signups. And that's part of what I've been doing. It's just like, just do it, I guess, and hope it works.
I mean, I love it. Like a physical thing is a reminder to treasure a work that otherwise, I think all the time about my library of books and how some of them sit on my shelf for years before I actually get into them.
Right.
And how much value there is in just letting something sit in your home and be a little object there.
Right.
How much potential it has.
I've been thinking a lot about how much like a book a friend lends you will takes up so much more mental real estate than if they emailed you like a PDF,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when am I going to look at that PDF?
Never.
Yeah.
It lives in a computer with 80,000 other things, but this book is just I got to move it around my house when I clean.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about giving it back to them.
Yeah, there's some part of it too is in the games discourse, the way that we talk about this. I hate the word backlog. Right. The way that people talk about their game backlog as if it's like a job you have to do, right? Or this weird obligation. I don't talk about my book backlog of things I want to read for fun, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
So I think making these physical objects, Meredith, as you're saying too, right? It creates this culture of seeing the thing and being like, I finally want. Oh, I've been meaning to get around to that, as opposed to I have a list of shit to get through, doing chores.
I find the minute I put something on a backlog, it's not getting read or played or watched or anything.
No.
That's the end of that thing. I'm just trying to get it out of my mind.
Yes.
And
that's a shame.
And it helps with it is preservation if nobody's talking about it,
Mm. Yeah.
It helps to keep it. And also the main reason I started, it's really great for local markets. If you go to an art market or a flea market, you have something to sell. Where game devs really lack that kind of zine single, I burn my own album on a CD kind of thing format. So
Can I have a suggestion?
Yeah.
For the Tape Club?
Go ahead.
I don't see a way to sign up for a subscription.
Yeah, I also was not sure how many people were going to sign up for it. Also,
I promise you, the day you make a subscription option available, I'll sign up that day.
Okay, so maybe I'll figure that out. How do I just now? The thing is, how do I do I have to make a separate Patreon, or do I just try different? I think I could do subscriptions through my processor on my website. So maybe I'll just try it there.
I would look at the way that Vinegar Syndrome does their supporter thing, where it's just you pay. I mean, it's a lot of money over there, but it's $1,000 a year, and you just get every release that comes out. If you could run some numbers on how many you plan on doing for the year, and just being look, I'm going to charge you X amount of dollars, and you're a supporter, and you get it all.
That sounds great.
Yeah, yes. I would be into that, right? And you just every month, you get 2 tapes or 1 tape or whatever. I would be way into it.
Yeah, I just need to make. Then I also need to go in and really, what's the word I'm looking for? Build the catalog. So I got to start knocking down doors and be in my tape club. But also, I can probably guarantee some more payment to them. A greater. Meredith, be in the tape club.
Get in the tape club.
This is sounding very enticing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get the demo on the tape club.
Yes. Release it.
Oh my God.
Or at
That's,
least-
I mean, I would say that's my one reason I would hesitate is that I don't feel like my game is quite done, you know.
Oh.
When I developed it, I didn't know what I was doing, and I've since then, you know, fixed it up a little bit, but I constantly have the sense that it's a work in progress. But putting it on a thumb drive might be the push I need to
Yeah.
declare it finished.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Right,
Yeah.
And there's nothing stopping you from putting the first one on there either, unless you already do you already have a physical edition?
No, I made a box.
Yeah.
So I already have a design.
Right.
So,
Who knows? Now we're getting into the weeds of logistics. This is like when I
Put it on a
have.
tape. Yeah.
This is like when I
Put that
have.
box in a tape.
Yeah. This is like when I have developers on. I start talking to them about being the commission developer for the next issue, and I go, "Wait a minute, this is work talk.
yeah, let's take this to the Discord.
Let's
Yeah.
take this to the secret third hour of Indiepocalypse Radio that gets unrecorded."
Mm.
But yes, no, I tape. I should get a logo. I need to make
Yeah.
a logo.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I
Get
should
a
find-
logo.
We're building up a to-do list for
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
I it's sitting in my download folder. Is that oh no, I moved it somewhere else. But it is that a copy of that Charles Atlas ad that I want to make into an Indiepocalypse ad at some point. But
Like, don't get sand kicked in your face.
yeah,
that one?
exactly. Like I'll
Okay.
gamble a stamp but maybe that'd probably be perfect for the tape club. Actually, that'd be a perfect
Yeah.
like ad for the tape club.
I'll gamble a stamp and an additional $12.
Yeah, I'll gamble. I just gotta write it. You know, I gotta actually sit down and write it.
I'll gamble a McDonald's value meal.
Right.
How about that? Call
There
back.
you go.
Boom.
There you
Yes,
go.
I'll
Boom.
gamble a stamp on these indie games.
That's right. Are we off ramping? Or are we doing some promo?
We're getting to it, but the
Okay.
secret of the show, longtime listeners, I'm bad at off ramping. I just like talking to people, so I usually get trapped.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna get there. Cameron, you said it first. You're in my clockwise in my face clock of
Mm-hmm.
my stream. You're the hot seat. We
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. Where can people find your stuff? If you want people to find your stuff.
Rangedtouch.com. Yeah, rangedtouch.com is the place to go for that. It's our own website. It's it's not a Squarespace or nothing.
Oh my god.
It's
Not a
managed by me.
timeline.
Yeah. Not a
A
timeline. I
real
gotta
site.
back that bad boy up every couple weeks just in case something bad happens.
Not a card. My friend made my website for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. None of those.
Yes.
Yeah, rangedtouch.com. It'll show you a bunch of different podcasts and things like that. If you like Indiepocalypse, I promise you're going to like the stuff that we do.
Yes.
I'm probably going to talk to Andrew about getting, we want to do a physical edition of the Homestuck show, and I bet Andrew's going to handle that for us. But we'll figure that out later.
Hey, man, if you're asking if I have burned podcasts on the DVDs before, CDs before, I have.
Good. That's what I want to hear.
It is something I've figured out before. Something I'm an old man from old media, and I'm used to going to indie shows, like indie comic shows, and being like, they have stuff to sell. Why don't game devs sell stuff? This sucks.
That's good.
Not for long though.
Not for
That's
long.
right.
That's the hope, because the short version is, if everything is dependent on having a stockpile of money, that means only certain people are going to be making games that you're going to see. It's Meredith, where can people find your stuff?
If you want to play my game, you can go to perfecttides.com, or you can find it on Steam. It is on itch.io and GOG. And if you want to follow along through the website or through Steam, I'm developing a sequel to that game right now, Perfect Tides Station to Station. It's going to be bigger and better and longer and cooler. And I think, you can just go to meredithgrind.com and
Yes.
find all of my websites and blogs and stuff like that. And in the spirit of indie and comics making, if you want to read my whole webcomic, Octopus Pie, for free, 10 years, over 1,000 pages of stuff, octopuspie.com.
I highly recommend both. I think a lot about the time Eve was just grapes. It lives in my brain as a touchstone for like pop culture and how it intersects with our world.
Even when we don't want it to.
Often when we don't want it to. that's right. My stuff, indiepocalypse.com. I also have a website that is just the name of the thing that I do. You go there, you can buy Indiepocalypse. It's straight off of my own goddamn website. You buy it through my website, you download it from there. You get it all there. I mentioned Patreon a couple times. You go to indiepocalypse.com/Patreon. You can subscribe at multiple tiers. You can just get it. You can get physical editions like the zines or the tapes. I'll talk about those later. Or I've got the one I like to promo here is the $5 tier, which is where you get just the Britain and games I newly commissioned for Indiepocalypse each month. So if you're like, oh, hot shit, dude, I want games, but I want to pay AAA's worth of monies for the freshest in the independent space that, let's face it, nobody's... And I say this as like a condemnation of the mediums, that nobody else is paying for people to make these sorts of games generally, you know? Except maybe Lost on Cult. Fingers crossed. I trust Ryan, old... people have been around for a long time to do some cool stuff with that publishing venture. But that said, indiepocalypse.com/tapes is where you get the physical editions of Indiepocalypse. 10 games on a little USB stick inside of a cassette case with cool cover art. Bring it around your house, trade it with your friends. I want to bring tape trading, but into games, you know? Indiepocalypse.com/tape club is where you'll find games not being made by me, my like print on demand service for people. That's also where you go if you're a game developer out there and you're like, I want a physical edition of my game that only costs me like $3 per. Go there. I basically print it for you at cost because I'd rather it exist and be out there than try to become a millionaire off of it or whatever.
Which you could do.
I could, yeah. I could upsell this shit like to an insane degree. I could upcharge people like crazy, but no, I'd rather I think it's like long-term benefits me and like the medium if I just like help people get these things out there as cheaply as possible and keep that barrier to entry as low as possible. That's there. Is that on my URLs? Oh, submit if you make games, if you've ever made games, if you plan on making a game in the future. Indiepocalypse.com/submit is where you submit those games to be included in the future editions of Indiepocalypse. So you can too get $20, then $50, then 6 months later get like $5. But it's something, it pays royalties forever, which is a nice thing, I think. I think that's all my URLs. I think I nailed them all. I have too much shit I keep doing. I'm making a game. There we go. I'm making a game. For my collab with Iron Circus, that's coming out in like June. We're paired up some comic artists with some game developers, and I'm one of those this time. I'm making.
What's it called?
It's my game.
Yeah.
What is the game? It's we made up a stupid name for it.
You're promoting a thing without a name.
It's because it's very long, and I'm not in a promo cycle for it yet. I think the collection is just going to be called Iron Circus Games Cross Indiepocalypse, kind of like Indiepocalypse Cross Koosh was back in the day when I did that Koosh collaboration. Also unrelated, Koosh Comics is cool. Where is this thing? I forget what it is. It's like the interactive history of Compuvation Software Interactive, I believe, something to that effect.
Cool.
It's we're making me and John Charles Holmes, cover artist, works at comic artist, works at the Yeti, I believe. I hope I got that one right, or I think that was the one. I believe I got it right. We were making like a fake retrospective of a cult company that never existed.
Cool.
That promo, that pull quote I got down perfectly. Actually, I got to remember that. I got to remember that one for later.
Just do that one.
Yeah, that's catchy.
I got to remember that for later. Anyway.
And you never have to say it's stupid before you say that.
Yeah. Listen, you don't grow up in New England without learning a deep sense of self-loathing and self-hatred, you know?
I've been told.
And misery. It's cold and miserable here all the time. Ethan Frome, the perfect depiction of New Englanders, but a house full of people who hate each other, and one of them goes off in the snow and dies.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Anyway.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, it's hot down there.
Yeah, too hot.
I need to look up that thing. I need to open up more tabs and look up MomoCon. MomoCon. Although last time the last time I went there was a true nightmare. But
I do remember it. I would have helped you if I'd been in town.
That's fine. I was in a rough spot because my airline lost my entire shop, which was a lot of stuff. And I was like, why am I here? But we're getting out of here, much like whatever.
Much like you were getting out of MomoCon.
Much like I was getting out of MomoCon, and my flight was delayed. I almost had to sleep in the airport overnight. It
Sucks.
It was miserable.
Well, I gotta roll and finish this greenhouse.
Yeah. But the guy who runs
yeah.
the indies group down there. Oh no, I'm blanking on his name as well. I'm so bad at names. Like when I start rolling on this. But that
of Indie Cluster.
the indie cluster, yes. Oh, you're gonna help me out here.
Oh, I'm blanking on
Ron.
his name too. But Ron.
Yes,
Ron.
Ron.
Yeah.
Ron that runs indie clusters. Super cool guy. Helped me survive that weekend. Like the nicest guy. Check out your local game scene if you have one. You probably
Yeah,
do.
if people are in the South, Indie Cluster is kind of the big indie group out of the Atlanta area, and they run the events. I was at DreamHack maybe last month or something.
Yeah.
And they had a huge group of maybe 25 devs, where they were all showing together and doing stuff. So yeah, Indie Cluster does excellent work.
Yeah. If you make games, you probably are a local scene. Support your locals. You know. That said,
That's right.
we're finally shutting this down. We're shutting it down. When I say we're shutting it down, that means we're shutting it down. That's my activation phrase. Where is it? This is
Good luck with your veg, Cameron.
Yeah. This is where I find Fubar. Mary Cameron, thank you both for being on the show. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you for your work in general. And hey, I'm remembering to do this now. Hey, listeners, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for tuning. Oh wait, there's one more question. Before I went to go close my form. What's your favorite writing utensil?
Pencil.
Jack.
Pen.
Let's see. I mean, I have a top 10 that I like, but probably
Cameron, I already said we're shutting it down. We need one.
Yeah, we're shutting it down. We're shutting it down. Yeah.
I agree. I also like pens. They force you to make decisions.
Yep.
Can I get the top one? No. Can I get number 7? What's your number 7 favorite writing utensil, Cameron?
Colored pencil.
All right. Thank you. We're heading out. Goodbye.
Bye.